Hi everyone, you're watching the Haider Rifaat Show, and I'm your host, Haider Rifaat. Today, it's an absolute honor for me to be joined by Shontelle. She needs no introduction, but she's a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter, and I'm so glad that she has finally agreed to be on my show. So thank you so much, Shontelle, for joining me. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Now, for starters, I wanted to ask you, although you have been making new music lately with Remember Me released in March last year and Tomorrow released recently, many fans still want to know why haven't you made new music in terms of a full studio album in more than 10 years?
Right. Okay. So the reason for that, it's, I suppose you can say, like, music industry politics for the most part. So what was going on is that the music industry was going through this entire changeover, like when music started going more digital and they couldn't figure out like how to make money anymore, and the labels were losing so much money really fast because of streaming and stuff like that. So they started literally folding. A lot of labels actually shut down, or they were like firing entire teams of people. So a lot of artists suffered because there was nobody to work their projects, to roll them out, to do anything, to develop artists. There was like no staff left. So a lot of artists just kind of sat there for a while. And then for me personally, Motown actually like shut down temporarily. And then they moved me over to Republic Records. But then Republic Records has so much going on at the time because they had like Taylor Swift and Maroon 5 and Florence and the Machine and all these artists that were huge going at the time. So me and Akon were just over there sitting like, what's going on? Nothing. And then, as everybody knows, I'm from Barbados, so we have to work. We have to have something called like an O1 visa, which allows us to work legally in the U.S. So when Donald Trump came into power, he made all of these crazy like immigration changes that made it extremely difficult for people to get things like work visas. And so I was waiting for mine for like over 2 years or something like that. So then that's another whole chunk of time wasted.
Yeah.
And then eventually I finally got my visa back, and then I went back to New York. And by then I just had it with labels and everything. I just was frustrated. So I just like said to Republic, I want out, I'm just going to be independent. I don't want to deal anymore. And so fast forward 10 years later, here we are. And I kept my word and I remained independent to this day. And to be honest, I prefer it right now. Yeah.
Now, Shontelle, do you think that creative artists like yourself, why do you think they're so underrated in today's day and age, especially with regard to music?
Probably because I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons, but it comes down to things like PR, which, like I said, was a big one of the problems that I had at my label. Like, it was almost as if there was no PR at all. And then, yeah, just probably not releasing music as regularly as other artists or releasing projects. And then for a long time, I was a very quiet artist. Like, I hardly even posted on social media. Like, I wasn't doing anything really to get more exposure or more attention anyways. So, a part of it is probably, label stuff, but then a part of it is probably also my failure to do more and just be more active publicly. So yeah, I'm working on that now. That's why you see me posting a lot more. I'm trying to create a lot more content, and now I'm trying to release music more regularly, and not take so long in between new songs or new projects.
Right. Now, in our previous interview together for the Paris magazine, you mentioned record politics, and of course, you're mentioning it now as well, that it was one of the main reasons why you have stopped making mainstream music. But overall, in a more general sense, tell me that is record politics, does it have something to do with an artist practicing his or her creativity in terms of making music? Does record politics have something to do with that as well, in your view?
Um, I guess it could, but for the most part, it just comes down to it's the same thing way politics works across the board. It really comes down to who you know and who's in your corner. You know, so the more powerful people that you know or that you're friends with, the
Mm-hmm.
more, you know what I'm saying, like certain things can happen. And then that was another problem that I had. Like I was very quiet unto myself. You know what I mean? I still don't know that many people in the music industry. Like, I mean, you know, I would know the people who were like at my label and on my team and stuff like that. But you know, I never really got that opportunity to network, you know, in a really broad way throughout the industry. So things like that can affect you too, you know. Also things like what you're willing to do. So you may not be, you know, you may not be willing to like carry a certain image or, you know, portray yourself in a certain way or say certain things in music. So that might block opportunities for you too, you know.
Right. Now, how are you finding working independently as opposed to going more mainstream like you did in the past?
Freedom. It's a lot harder because, you know, you're not going to get like a budget from a label. You're not going to get big advances. Now everything is coming directly out of your pocket. You have to
Yeah.
figure out how to finance and fund your own projects now.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that in itself is a challenge, but it's actually fun because I love learning new stuff. So to actually be to see more closely what, you know, how things work from the other side, like from the administrative side,
Mm-hmm.
what it takes to release new music. Like I just learned so much about TuneCore and like all these different platforms, you know, and I didn't know any of this stuff before. So it's a really cool learning experience. But the best part about it is the freedom. Like there's no one who's gonna say, you can't release this song, you can't say that. You have to release it this way. You know what I mean? There's nobody to
Yeah.
control you. And as an artist like myself, where I'm not just a performer, I'm a creative. Like I actually write and create music, and I need that freedom to be able to do what I genuinely feel and not be controlled, or have my voice be controlled by anyone.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Now, in our previous interview, you also mentioned how you were subject to racial slurs in the past, and we are seeing that a lot of racist attacks have taken place in light of George Floyd being killed, murdered last year, and also against Asian Americans as well. So, did that bit kind of inspire you to write Tomorrow?
Absolutely. Because just sitting at home, writing out the pandemic, sitting at home in Barbados, and constantly like the news, you know, it was just so overwhelming and so like saddening. Um, and I think everyone was just feeling so helpless, you know, like, wow, you know, is there anything we can do? Like, what can be done? Like, what do you do? And I sat for a long time just thinking, you know, yeah, everybody's doing these type We Are the World type songs, and
Hmm.
everybody's
Yeah.
obviously posting black squares and Black Lives Matter and whatnot. But I was like, there has to be more, and I'll know it'll just come to me. Like I won't have to fight it. I won't, you know, and that's exactly what happened. Um, my friend and I, we were working on some music, and she just pulled up a track. Um, and it was the track for Tomorrow. And when I heard it in the background, I just was like, something just came over me. And I started like feeling all these things and hearing all these words in my head. So I just told her, like, just hit record real quick. And literally, like, everything you hear is just a freestyle. It's just everything that came to my head. So obviously this is stuff that, you know, like I had, that was really bothering me and eating me up inside because it just came out like that, you know? And I just felt like this needs to be said. And people, I can't be afraid to tell my truth and speak how I really feel. And I think is like an artist's duty, honestly, to, I think I may have posted it, like, we need to represent the oppressed, you know, we need to be the voices of those who nobody wants to listen to. I think is your duty as an artist. Some artists don't think that they should be role models, but I don't think you need to be a role model either. But I think you should stand up for people's rights, and stand up for what you believe in. So I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna put this out, and it's also a different side of me musically, because as a pop artist, you know, I was always sort of like not really forced, but that was the game plan is you're a pop artist, so you make pop music, right? But I'm still from Barbados, and soca music is like our traditional music, and it's the music that I grew up listening to and dancing to, and being influenced by. So I just felt like there's so many artists from the Caribbean, but nobody, all the artists who make it internationally, they like stop making soca music. So I was just like, okay, I can kill two birds with one stone. I can showcase soca music, but I can also spread a really positive message with it.
Yeah, and the tune itself also sounded very personal. So I
Yeah.
can sense that as well. Now, Shontelle, other than racism, now we're also seeing that there are so many other issues that are not highlighted enough in the mainstream media with regard to Black lives. So what kind of issues do you personally think are not getting enough attention?
Well, you hear things pop up. I think definitely more recently we've been hearing a lot about like prison and justice reform, especially because of George Floyd. So I mean that's something that I always felt like really strong about, how the way that communities are zoned, and then they like put people of color into like really inaccessible areas, that are essentially like food deserts. The people, everything that is even available to them is like mediocre, you know. So the schools aren't funded as well as like schools in other communities. So the kids already, from an education standpoint, you know, are behind, or they just don't have the quality of education, and then there's nothing for the kids to do, so they are wild, kind of like they go crazy, you know. So I think it starts with like inside the communities and the children, and with like law, like just working on laws so that people of color aren't being more harshly punished than other people in society who commit the same crimes. You know what I mean? That like really puts entire communities behind. So if we could work on laws that protect people of color and that make it so that everyone is genuinely treated equal, then people would actually have like an opportunity to like, you can like, people actually have a shot at winning, you know, or making it at life, you know. So I think that's a really important issue to me, like like social reform and you know, justice reform.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, Shontelle, moving on, you spoke about you have obviously made music with regard to Remember Me and Tomorrow. So it's a big fan question. Can we expect or anticipate a third studio album released independently through you?
Absolutely. I'm still working on it right now, but it is definitely my plan and my goal to release a third album. And yeah, my preference is that I find a way to release it independently, and have full freedom.
Great. And how are you channeling your creativity these days, apart from, you know, making music?
I mean, it's pretty much mostly, um, like music is definitely number one, but I guess this counts as creativity because as all the artists are realizing, wait, if the world doesn't open back up soon, like we're all gonna go broke because we can't just like eat off of royalties, like we can't tour. Like how are we gonna make money? So recently I started researching like Forex, like foreign exchange trading. And there is like a creative element to that because the way that you trade obviously really affects what you make and how fast you make it or lose it because you know how trading works. So I would say that that's where I've been putting a lot of my time into, like trading foreign exchange.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very creative, but you have to get very creative with your strategy.
Yeah, obviously everybody functions differently and they're utilizing their time differently. So
Yeah.
Shontelle, tell me also that you, during COVID-19, obviously it hit the world last year and the music industry overall also took a major blow. But has COVID-19 until now helped you be more creative with your music?
Yes. At first, no. At first, everybody was just so angry and so depressed, and like you can't work or create anything when you feel like that, you know? But then after a while, it started to feel more like, maybe I did need some time to stop and recharge or like recalibrate, and I think everyone in this time has learned new things about themselves. We've all learned all the things that we don't really need, and I think and I hope that it's also caused people to love and respect each other a lot more. So once I got to that stage, in my head, then I was able to just create and create and create. And every day I'm just like writing new songs, and, I have so much inspiration. It's like I haven't been this creative in a long time. So for me, it's working out good in that regard.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Shontelle, you have also starred in a movie, Joseph. So you have
Yeah.
donned another hat, which is of acting. So will we be seeing you take up more acting roles in the near future?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I really enjoyed it. And I have so much more respect now for actors and anyone who really works in film, because it's not easy. Like music is way easier, way easier. So, but I enjoyed it so much that, yeah, I'm definitely like trying to grab any further opportunities to do it again.
Great. And to conclude, Shontelle, would you like to sing a song for the viewers?
Normally I would charge you guys, but
For the fans, I mean, it will be a treat for them.
What will I sing? I guess I should sing a Shontelle song, right? That makes
Of
sense.
course.
um, I guess I can do a little bit of Remember Me.
Sure.
So y'all don't forget. Take me, love, take me, love, take me, love. And if the road should end, would you forsake my love? Will you remember me? Will you remember me? Will you remember my love?
Thank you so much. That was beautiful, Shontelle. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on my show and to really talk about different issues. So thank you so much for sparing time for this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, of course. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. That is all for now. Stay tuned for more on my official YouTube channel and Facebook page. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.